Hey, what's up everybody? It's me, Danae, and I'm here with a message for you. Today, I feel guided to dig into my son's sight words, the cards that I made for my son. We do have the Emperor at the top of the deck, but I'm going to get to that in a second. I want to start pulling some messages, and then see, as a matter of fact, I like to actually pull these from this side. And then we'll see what happens after that. Now, if you checked out my last video with these, you know that you just never know what comes up or how long it's actually going to take me to pull it out, to decipher a message or whatever Spirit is saying to me, through me. So bear with me, but I just like to use them because I do feel like it definitely does add a different dimension to the readings. And I am working on my own cards, as a matter of fact, but they're not quite ready yet. So in the meantime, these were on hand and on demand by Spirit itself. So I'm just being obedient. All right, let's see what we got. Thank you, Spirit, for this day. Thank you for great dimension and communication, and for speaking to us in every way, shape, and form that we're willing to listen. We are here for a message on today. Let's see, should I stop there? Let me just get a few more. Yes. All right, and I'll see what's on the top and bottom in a second. So these were first. Let's see. From, could, long, how, there, could, been. How long? So definitely. And time, I seen time when I was shuffling that deck earlier, and that stood out to me. How long could there? I'm seeing it here. It had been. Is from. Let's see what else we got. Oh, I said could there. How long there could have been. How long could there have been? There have been. I hear that more than that. Is from. Okay, let's see what we got. If. It's on the top. That. Is from there. Could that been? Could have. I knew I heard that have, but it's coming up as if. Remember how I see how, well, you don't have to remember, you don't even have to care. How about that? But how I hear the words are, not just the, the actual spelling, exclusively, but the phonetic connotation too. So it may not exactly be that, but if it, you probably understand what I'm saying. Let me just concentrate. Like, for instance, could have that been. But I was hearing could have been. I added that. I don't even know if that is gonna stay there. Especially now that I'm seeing one is from there. Could that have been? How could have been is that one and there's a could have. I love it. How long is that one? From there, could have been first, and I'm gonna stop there. Could have been first. All right. Let me just see what's on the top of A, but. So there was some, could have been first, but something was in the process or progress of happening, and there was some interference or stop or block or hold to what was intended to be or what was expected to be from somebody, from someone, from some individual. So say, how long is that one how long, maybe meaning how old, how long is that one from there, or how far could have been first. Okay, let's see. But let's see what the but is. I'm gonna put this here. Let's see what we got. Okay. So how long is that one from there? Could have been first. How long is that one from there? How long? So there's a question or some contemplation around time, the timing or distance of something. How long is that one from there? Or the distance or disparity between two things. The measure of two things. There's one here, there's one there. There's that, there's there. How long is that one from there? What is that? Could have been first. All right, I'm gonna pull some. Oh my gosh, I hear something. This is gonna be this might be a little bit out of this world a little bit, but I'm gonna just say how I feel it. Especially with this Emperor card here. There's an expectation for some otherworldly presence to to crystallize or materialize, to enter the earth realm. How that gets to be, I'm not sure. I don't know if it's by way of energy or by way of actual, well, I'm saying crystallize, so there's some manifestation, like power, some 3D force experience, well, 3D experience or expression of a force that is being anticipated in the realm. How long is that one, the one? From there, it's in transit, it's en route. And there are some, perhaps even authoritative figures. This could be establishments. The Emperor card is, it can be an individual, but it can also be representative of an establishment, a power of authority. Like there's a watching of some sorts of something that's coming in that can't be stopped. It's just a matter of how long it is from here, or how long it is from becoming that existential experience that's anticipated. How long is that one from there? But then it's saying there as if it's, there's a certain location or destination that is set to make. Maybe there's certain checkpoints. I don't know what I'm saying. I'm just saying what I feel. There's certain checkpoints that are being observed along the transit of this energy that that all may not be privy to. You know, when you consider the Emperor, that's like the highest level of power in the deck, in the land, in the kingdom, you know, whole as a collective and as an individual. It could even be a father figure on the most intimate perspective, the patriarch of the family, someone that has great power and authority in a certain position, influence, that is very directive, a bit very established in his position, you know, not very easily swayed, pretty stabilized in their direction and in their directives, and very much so power focused, you know, not extremely emotional or like just very almost calloused in a sense, you know, very fixed in its energy, you know, and cardinal at the same time, because this also does represent Aries energy, which is the first sign in the zodiac, one, and is like the initiator of energetic force. You know, it's like it's very much so about your individualistic nature, you know, you establishing your position of power and individuality in a very direct and concrete way. It's a very unapologetic energy, very fast forward, willing to kind of forge ahead into any territory, any terrain for whatever cause it deems, you know, it identifies as something that is important to that, to its individual progression of sorts, or even establishment. And what I'm hearing is that, like, how long is that one from there? There's some there's like a universal eye on something, whether it's like I said, whether it's a force or whether it's a person embodying a force, or a force destined for a person. But as I was saying, you know, the powers, whatever powers that be, that would be, that would care about monitoring this transit or this transfer of energy, are very much in tune to it. They're watching its every move. Whereas, let's say the rest of us, you know, the masses, the large majority, are unaware of its existence. Mostly, the people, the masses are not usually as in tune to the universal arc and themes of life force as the powers that be are. There are certain things that have even been kept from us or hidden from us, that we may not find out till years, decades, centuries later. But in real time, what I'm hearing is that this force is going to be, it's not going to be one that can be contained or covered. There's energy being put towards averting that revelation, which is why there's a watch on it. You know, it's like how now we've all been, well, not all, but the newest media trend in conspiracy theory that they would like to project is about this presence of extraterrestrials. You know, that was a bit of a wave, and I don't know, it could still be, but I don't really keep up as much. But I know I heard some things that mainstream media was starting to express this presence of extraterrestrial force in the earth, and the evidence of it. And I did speak on something about it a long time ago, or quite a few readings back ago, about being careful about what you're being pointed, what direction you're being pointed in, what you're being shown, what propaganda you're being fed. Because 9 times out of 10, it's like the magician's trick of a hand. They want you to look over here, while meanwhile something's happening over here. Like the real story is what's happening on the sidelines, but they want you to be in fear, whoever they is, no disrespect to any particular establishment per se, like everybody's just doing their part in one way or another universally. But whomever the powers that be, for whatever reasons they have, would love for you to be distracted by more fantastical stories than to actually be in tune to the fantastical reality that's happening, maybe perhaps not just in front of you or set to happen in front of you, but that's happening within, or set to happen within. And whatever this energy is being tracked, and it's in transit to hit a certain destination. Now it's saying from there, so I don't know if the from there is a matter of some checkpoint that's before its ultimate destination, or if the there is here, actually in the realm, in the earth, somehow, some way. And it's being tracked because when it presents itself, it's going to be, you won't be able to avert attention from it. The powers that be they can't stop it as is, the transit as it's coming. And I'm saying transit because it's something moving, it's something en route, it's coming, it's moving, it's not stationary. And I feel in spirit that it can only be monitored and observed. Perhaps there were actual attempts to stop or block it, or to, you know, delay or hinder the transition in some way, but it doesn't, from this expression, and I'm going to pull some cards, but I'm just trying to work this out before I start pulling cards. It doesn't feel like there's an ability to push back on it, like it's happening and it's coming no matter what. All that can be done is to kind of watch and monitor where it's going, and like I was saying, to try to say, oh, look over here, so that you miss it, you know, or so that you're distracted, or distort the exchange or the experience to be as a projection of something else, perhaps even to incite fear or some type of fright about it in a way that would incite resistance to it. So I'm feeling like the energy itself it's like it's inspirational in the sense that it's a revelation of something that has never been seen before or sensationalized before. And so therefore, it's going to be something that will incite a personal experience, or I'm hearing implosion of energetic force from the inside out, because it's like once you see it and experience it, you won't be able, it'll just probably change your entire engagement with life, and especially the energy within you beyond that point. That's why it's been important for these powers that be to try to impress some distraction or some, you know, try to manipulate the experience and expression of whatever this is, so that it won't be fully received or inhabited by the observers or the ones experiencing the force, the life force. Could have been first. But so perhaps it's something that, yeah, so there was some obstruction of this energy before. As I said, like there was some pushback or resistance to this. I'll call it a frequency, a vibration, an energy. I don't know exactly what it is. I think it makes sense that I've been talking a lot about this force of energetic upgrade, you know, that's happening. And it's happening as above, certainly with the different alignments and planets that are, you know, doing what they do, and it's happening through us. But the thing is, a lot of us don't really put a lot of stock into what happens in the celestial, so therefore we don't make the connection, which is also another trick, you know, a sleight of hand, a shift, distortion of truth, that a lot of things such as like astrology and you know, spiritual arts are either demonized or just kind of like sidelined as pseudoscience in the grand scheme of things, in comparison to the more like established positions of knowledge and education and things like that, the more conventionally accepted expressions of it. So things such as astrology, where there's a close connection with what's going on in the universe play by play, is often resisted or just not even understood, you know, and let alone, like I said, demonized, you know, and just completely distorted in ways that are destructive from higher knowledge or higher learning in its purest form, or demonizing altogether. That's not a coincidence, because a lot of that information leads to a wisdom of understanding about how life is working through us, and also, you know, an insight as to how we get to move with that flow of evolution. Like a lot of things that are known to be coming, in a sense, or on the horizon, just by way of observing the planets and celestials alone, aren't really grasped by the public as reliable information and knowledge you get stable, you know, knowledge you can really lean on, because of the disparity of trust with the conventions of how we accept and process information. Like if it doesn't come from a certain source, even say the media. Some people in the lowest vibration believe everything that the mainstream or social medias project as the truth, when, as I said, a lot of what's projected is propaganda for some other cause or some purpose, or to divert your attention from what is truly vital and what is, you know, truly pushing you toward a divine clarity and understanding of yourself and of your surroundings. So here I'm saying, like, it could have been first, meaning there was something that was supposed to have happened in some other time. I don't know how long, how short, how recent, how ancient, but it would have happened naturally, organically, on its own, but, which was the last card that was on the top here, for some interference. So there was some pushback that kept this evolution from taking place, you know, this energetic expansion, infusion, entrance, you know, whatever it is, invasion, evasion of energetic force that is beyond the limitations. I'm not saying it as if it's literally like green men stepping off of a ship, but it's something that's coming through that's beyond the limitations of what we've been conditioned to perceive, let alone to receive and accept as a part of our reality. And it's been pushed back for a long time, because if it were to have been exposed or revealed, it will be liberating for the inhabitants of the earth to perceive this thing. Like, think about the expression of Jesus Christ and what his presence was in the time that it was. You know, this is something about a vibration of that nature. You know, this coming of sorts, this surge of power that just breaks all the barriers of the societal confines that we've been caged in. You know, the societal conceptions of life that we've been caged in and conditioned by. That's why the Emperor is here, because of the impressions of the powers that be to resist this evolution, and because of the power that persists to take this new seat on the throne, in a sense, but not in the way that it has been, where it's been, you know, a dominant force that's just, you know, the lower vibration of the Emperor is someone that's just overly controlling and dominant and very, you know, like a tyrant, in a sense, that's just going to tell you what it is, not taking any suggestions on what else it could be. You know, it's just very finite in its force, not really considering emotional concepts within that, let alone other people's opinions or thoughts or, you know, desires or hopes, wishes, and dreams. You know, it's just all about what the Emperor's agenda is and how the emperor sees fit to rule the kingdom. It really is the highest and lowest vibration of the emperor is like the difference between ruling in fear and ruling with love. You can't really do both, you know, holistically. You're either going to maintain control by some projection of fear, or you inspire control by a projection of love, meaning you feel cared for by the emperor and taken care of, and it garners a certain respect and appreciation for that position of power, as opposed to the adverse, where you're just afraid you might get hurt or killed, or, you know, might be left out or abandoned or banished from the kingdom, perhaps. And so therefore you do whatever is in, you know, the contentment of the emperor's temperament, just to, you know, save face, or, you know, keep things settled, or just stay within the grace in general, because there's some dependency on the emperor's power. A good emperor, I think, a good position of power is one that inspires others to be independent in their own regard. You know, that makes people feel like they can trust themselves to have control over their experience in life, you know, as opposed to telling people what's best for them or what they should do. So anyway, so there's this disparity here with the power that was, and the persistence of the power that is to come. And as I said, the emperor could very much so be a singular force, and it could be a collective force. So as representative of a power such as the president, and also of the legal and judicial system overall, you know, like, and the establishments that even are aligned with that. And our system is like 5 of them, really, with business and education and religion and government, and I'll always forget one. But the 5 pillars, more or less, are what we answer to as the authority in our land, and how they, you know, align with one another and, you know, coexist with one another to more or less captivate the masses in some way, shape, or form, is the expression of an emperor energy in the collective sense. And we're seeing the deterioration of those power structures happening day to day, and more so the balancing of the imbalanced structure of those powers, so that more of the individual is empowered to govern his or herself, you know, and that there's more shared wealth of wisdom amongst all. And starting with there being more of a revelation of what of the truth, you know, what's really been going on, and who these powers that be are, you know, and what's really been going on behind the scenes, how our country's been run. And I'm speaking country in the most primitive sense, because this is not just about country. This is about a universal order. And there being, you know, this is worldwide, universal, that there's an evolution of the human spirit to be more equipped to be independent and sovereign in spirit, you know, so that you can't be misled and misguided any more than you choose to be by the truth of your life experience, and by the surrounding projections that, you know, speak to that, you know, or govern that, or even create that in a sense, or incite you to create of it. So it's like I said, there was, you know, this is like a second time around, you know, like a second coming, maybe even more than that, you know, but I'm seeing could have been first, but because it could maybe consider that when Jesus came, you know, taking it at face value, right? because there are many expressions in the Bible of figures such as Jesus, even, you know, and expressions of Abraham and Moses and Jacob, right? And who took over after Moses? I always forget his dad, Joshua, and like these different characters that emerged to shift the norm of society, to shift the norm of creation in a big way as they're expressed in the Bible text, okay? So you don't have to subscribe to that religion just to feel me on what I'm saying. That there could have been many expressions of change that emerged to evolve creation, and each of them had that, even that we are aware of the stories of, had their adversity from the powers that were in place at the time, and even dissension among the masses who were conditioned to reject that evolution that they were bringing an inspiration of. Jesus is just one of the most pronounced personas, of course, because of the impact that the story alone makes, and and this is the time that we're living in, and perhaps maybe the cycle of that time is coming to a close in a certain type of way, and the beginning of some new emergence is on the horizon, which is why I'm saying this. It's like what Jesus set out to do, I don't feel it was fully embraced by in the organic nature in which it was intended. I think it became very distorted even then, you know, where still, even in the Christian religion, case in point, I wasn't going to speak on this, but it's interesting. In the Christian religion, we have, there's this like distortion of what Jesus truly is, was, and gets to be. You know, interpretation is very subjective and very personal, depending on who you speak to, denomination, individual, church, place, state. You know, there's a difference in anyone that you would talk to about their experience and expression of Jesus Christ. I'm not sure, other than it being a conversation that still persists, perhaps even an argument that still persists even now, if what the almighty force and source intended was actually achieved in that presence, you know, because once it hit earth, Jesus Christ, the story of Jesus Christ, as I said, has changed and literally been distorted even in the Bible by certain powers that be, yet again, that saw fit to change the story and certain parts of the text of the Bible in general for their own intents and purposes, you know? So it's like there's always interference in this realm when it comes to the pure, unadulterated truth of universal order. Even as I said, with astrology and astronomy and, you know, the pseudosciences as they are, the spirituality of life and of nature gets muddled with the contention between the sciences as to whether or not it's reliable or not. Once again, the earth realm objectifying and obstructing the evolvement of truth to be whatever it gets to be for whomever receives it, because there's always some tug of war on who's right and who's wrong. So I'm saying this about this presence here. It's like perhaps the first time the presence of Jesus was supposed to really free the masses from the captivities of convention and society and culture in the way, in its most rigid form. And in a lot of ways it did, because it offered that possibility and that choice to walk a different path or a different way than what was conventionally or traditionally known. However, that has even been muddled again in the very religion itself, and the different interpretations of what that truth should be. It really is a should be, divergent from its original form or its original purpose at this point. It's like a game of telephone almost. So instead of, from my perspective, again, me still having a perspective just as everyone else, but from my perspective, where the story of Jesus Christ should be an inspiration to inspire true autonomy and power and authority that is unlimited and infinite. Even in the ways that we say that, we don't really act in that way. A lot of times, those that are believers, true believers in Jesus in whatever form they believe Jesus to be, there's still some resistance to the message as it's most plainly expressed, and the power that is a reflective possession, and a projective possession of the sole source of us all. Instead, especially in the religiosity of Christianity, there's more of a worshiping and a distancing of self from that power and authority, almost like subservient to it, and feeling almost undeserving in a lot of the language and the ways that we speak about Jesus and God and things like that, like where you're almost undeserving of any connectivity to it at all, let alone to be captivated by it or a conduit of it, if this is making sense. So I'm saying that to use Jesus being one of the biggest examples of a shift in power and an infusion of energetic force in the most spiritual ways and in the most physical ways, if you believe that to be so, even that has been lost in translation, and there's been resistance and pushback, or those powers that be have used it as a convention to administer more control as opposed to it being a liberating force. So here we are here another time around, as I said, like the second coming, but who knows what coming this truly is in the essence of what I'm speaking of. Many have come to change the DNA of this dimension. And there's only but so far it's been able to go. And I'm feeling that when it says it could have been the first time, that maybe then it was supposed to be the ultimate change, where it was like, snap, we all realize that we are gods and we have the power reflected to us from the source to act accordingly in this earth, to take dominion over this dimension and to walk, circumspectly, I think that's the word, in that authority, divinely so, and physically so, spiritually and in spirit and in flesh. Most of us don't take that liberty. Even if we speak it, we don't actually move in it. And it's because it's been hard to really perceive. None of us saw Jesus walk on water, so we're of those that perhaps believe but never saw. And I think he says something like, blessed are those that believe and have never seen. But there's still this void of vitality in a sense, because we aren't true witnesses to that power and therefore resist being true heirs of that authority, if that makes sense. But there's something about this time and why if you look around, the whole world is like the earth, Gaia, is, it says in the Bible that what does it say in Romans, that the earth, all of creation groans and moans for the revealing of its sons and daughters, or something like that. It's in that Romans 8 chapter that I actually spoke about a few readings back as well, where it talks about like the revelation of the sons of God, the sons and daughters of God, and creation's, conception, ultimately, unadulterated, organic, original beings of spirit that are being revealed unto themselves, and I believe now unto the universal perspective, meaning many will see. Many are going to see this essence of power and presence that's coming through. It's not just going to be something that is speculated upon in a sense, or a rumor, you know, like I think this happened, or you know, once upon a time I heard, or you know, like even the story of Jesus has been passed down thousands of years now that we don't really know what the true version of it is truly. You know, it's a distant narrative now, but there's something that's happening and evolving in real time that many that know to look out for it are aware of, and they're not saying. They're doing the opposite. They're actually diverting the attention so that if we can be distracted enough, we might actually miss the presentation for it, or perceive it as something that is actually a threat more than it is, you know, an opportunity for transformation for us all in a very powerful way. Make it something, a terror, you know, make it a terror when it's actually something, you know, terrific, you know, to be quite plain. Yeah, so I don't know why I'm saying this, or why it matters now. Well, I know why it matters now. There's something about time that's of the essence, but this is not what I anticipated to be speaking about. So I guess, what is it? Because I don't even know if I'm going to pull any cards. Like, this is a crossover moment. This is like spirit literally moving you across the shore from turbulent times to peaceful and calmer waters. And I literally call this a crossover card, you know, where you're moving into a promised land experience from something that was very tumultuous and trying and challenging and testing. And perhaps, and with the swords, that's about truth. And then the 6 is balance, and also the number of man. So it's mankind being crossed over into an elevated and expansive capacity of knowledge and wisdom about their very own existence, and about the existential experience of the celestial existential experience, meaning the heavens experienced in the earth. That's what I hear. If you can receive that, if that makes sense. Don't be finessed, feeling like, so how is this distraction working? You know, how is it to be perceived? In lust, by, you know, being distracted by your own lust and ambitions of grandeur for a sensational experience. Like, you know, you're always looking to satisfy your loins pretty much with this Knight of Wands here. I see that. And lust for material stability. But not just stability, but like just wealth for wealth's sake, you know. So doing things that, how the powers that be are working is they're creating more turmoil, you know, more confusion, more dissension, more deception to disrupt our physical environments and distort our life experiences, to make us reach for those conveniences of confinement, you know, to be more codependent. You know, if you can disrupt everyday life from the comforts that once were. And I would say it's not even just the powers that be, because they're just being used as vessels at this point, that not only can they not stop this force, they also can't stop source from doing what is just, you know, destined to be done. in the earth at this point. So even in the ways that disturbances are being created to make us lust for this sense of security and stability and overachieving for wealth and the accumulation of material gain, is also being used as like a weeding process, you know, like a testing ground in a sense by the divine to build character and to ultimately, you know, break the mold, you know. So either you're going to flow with that old regime and stay behind in these turbulent waters, chasing after lustful endeavors and, you know, only finding security in material matter, or you're going to allow yourself to be crossed over into this new, you're going to allow yourself to be infused with this new frequency of power and energy, and that being the thing that carries you over into this new experience of life, you know, where it is much more spiritually incited, and there may be all of the things that you always envisioned in this life as well and in this existence as well, but the intention for it will be more spiritually sensational than what we've been conditioned to. So it's like literally this has been a time of the wheat being separated from the chaff, and it's done so by the matter of your choices. So yeah, and then here's another night. Let's put him down here, where, let's see, I'm just flowing right now. Let's see. A Knight of Cups, offering to a star. Yeah, and here's the imbalance. It's like these offerings of the spirit with this night energy here, what's that saying? Because for me, like the night energy, especially when we're talking about disparity between spirit and truth, like celestial things and earthly matter, the Knight of Cups is like, it's a bit shy of the fullness of an offering or a surrender. It's like kind of a half of an offering, you know. It's something left to be desired. When you got the star here pouring out from both hands, literally, yeah, okay. So this is the difference here. Those that are still like half-ass in life in a spiritual sense, and those that are willing to give it their all. That's the separation and the balancing here, literally. Choosing between your higher nature and your lower nature, that divine calling and destined order on your life, and this being like a half-ass cup of love, like kind of halfway in, halfway out, literally, in comparison to the star. One cup versus her two. You know, that's the disparity here. That you will, there'll be a continuous cycle of one of these, you know, which basically comes down to whatever you're willing to give to this experience, and even surrender of yourself to this experience of force and transformation that's happening organically, that none of us can stop, is what ultimately you're going to get back, you know. And that's the cycle of life that you will leave, you will lead in your legacy. It's some continuum of whichever one you choose. It won't be one or the other. There has to be a clear choice at this point, or there really for some of us already has been. You know, it's very clear as to what you submit to, what you subscribe to. And when this force comes into play, or comes into this realm where, you know, the experience itself becomes very evident and existential, whatever it gets to be, you know, is to be revealed clearly, because I can't even truly put my words to it. But once it's here, it's no longer a question, you know. It's like how you prepare yourself now for that experience is the answer. It's the answer to the call. Like, are you answering to your North Node, to your North Star, to that calling of destiny that is almost been written in your Akashic records, in a sense? And definitely written on your energetic signature. It's what calls you, you know. And the things that are not in alignment with that, usually these pursuits of passion that are imbalanced, are the things that will distract you from it. You know, the things that we pursue for stability and sensationalism and power that has no purpose, or, you know, all those carnal, fleshly desires that don't have a prosperous function in our lives or anyone else's lives. You know, truly something productive, long-lasting, vital, those are part of the regime of that distraction that keeps us from crossing over. And when I'm saying crossing over, it really is more so just about being prepared for whatever this force, this change, this transformation, this transition is going to be. It's something that's happening. And if you are not prepared to receive it, it's like your body, your human existence will reject it. And it'll happen either by way of fear, by way of resistance to what's new. It may happen in a resistance to feeling undeserving, or disbelief about the experience that's occurring. Again, being disoriented about what you're experiencing in front of you or perceiving in front of you, whether it be from external interference or just from your lack of involvement in your perception and your creative consciousness to even consider. Think about, you know, people that don't think that there's anything that truly is real or exists outside of the earth that they can touch and taste and smell and see and hear, you know. To then be bombarded with some truth beyond that reality is like a shock to the senses, where you may literally be shocked to your core. And as I said, the response could be, you know, you could literally just like die from shock, you know what I mean? But the response could be in a primitive sense to just resist it, run away from it, be afraid of it, be afraid of yourself or what this change means, or, you know, be afraid of others. So then you're paranoid, or, you know, the experience of your life could just go from something that's just okay in the way that we're living now to much worse if you're not in the way of, if you're not looking to be in the way of the evolution that is set to take place as it is what I'm trying to say. That change is coming. This has happened before. It's been resisted before. It's, you know, been distorted before. This time, it's going to be very clear, like you're living in the time where you're going to get to see this change and experience of evolution in a very magnificent way. And I guess the point here now of me even speaking in this way is to begin to really open up your mind and your heart and your spirit to something, to perhaps seeing, hearing, feeling, tasting, smelling. I don't know, it's kind of extra, but perhaps like the complete experience of your existential life is going to change in ways that may seem more fantastical than a movie, you know, than a Hollywood script, you know, than a fairy tale, than, you know, the greatest novel ever written. And it's really a matter, you know, for you, the reader, the watcher, the audience of this experience, to expand your creative consciousness, i.e. your imagination, to receive it in peace and to flow with the revelation however it comes to be, so that you can be a part of it in the most holistic way, and not shut out or left behind, dare I say, from it, or on the side of the experience that is less favorable because of the ways that you were conditioned or confined to conceive it. You know, if that makes sense. Let's just say, I'm just taking a few more. Yeah, this is the power. This is the energy that's coming through. Let me see this. Oh my God. This is wild. Y'all gotta know I didn't come here for this today. Oh, Lordy. And this is the God honest truth. Like, Queen of Cups is tapped in. And I saw, what did I just say? Oh, it's this. High Priestess. And this is like the disparity here. Like, you're going to carry the weight of the world on your shoulders, literally, when this energy come through, or you're going to navigate it like the most powerful king in the deck does, in truth and power and authority, conquering whatever this new territory may be. You know, this is a great disparity here. Someone that carries burdens that aren't even his to bear, you know, carries actions on his back, carries people, places, and things on his back that perhaps have no real value for his presence or on his future, let alone. No, the King of Wands takes the wisdom of his experiences and see how he's chosen one staff to support his vision. You know, he only needs one. He don't need all this extra stuff. He can bear down to just the true essence of who he is energetically, creatively, and use, you know, the King of Wands is a visionary in the sense that he can take his experiences and create something from it. He doesn't just idealize life. He knows how to make something happen with whatever resources he has, whatever the passion that's within him, whatever fuels him to live and love. He can centralize that focus and pretty much will an outcome to be. He don't even really have to get off the throne to do it, but he's always ready to. You know, he has that power. And I mean, this is this here. You know what I mean? Like this is that here. You have that power, you have that authority. Here's the truth right here. Like, there's some truth to what I'm saying here today. This is the Ace of Swords, which is about divine truth, clarity, and revelation. This is the power that's coming through, that we are all being prepared, whether we even realize it or not, to receive in our being. This is us in the world, literally the world card, receiving this energetic force. And it's of which, as I spoke about the world in my last reading, is something that more or less has been manifested by us all creatively, in a sense. Like, we have been the projective force universally that has called this energy down in real time. You know, it's because of our willingness to evolve up until this point that this force even has somewhere to land, truly. Like, consider, as I was saying, like once upon a time whenever it was, however it was, when that energy of Jesus Christ pierced this realm, most people were not ready to receive it. Most rejected that force. Many rejected that force. Many still do, even the sheer possibility of it. you know, in the most primitive ways and in the most fantastical ways. There's still rejection. So there was much less of a soil to absorb that seed for it to really produce and manifest in the way that I feel would have been most prosperous for what the source intended. It's like the seed was planted, certainly, but it's been planted on a lot of bad soil, honestly, or the soil has been tainted by ways of the powers that be that don't really want that seed to grow, to, you know, to truly produce a ripe harvest in the way that it could if just left to its, you know, to its natural organic essence. And now the soil has been tilled differently. You know, people are more willing to receive the possibilities of their power, their authority, the presence of and the presence of power from a place that's less tangible. You know, the possibilities of power from a place that's less tangible, even being open to their own possibilities and expressions of power in ways that are exalted or elevated and transcended beyond our humanistic confines. You know, we're more open to that now. So it's like somehow that power is getting another chance to really grow in a magnificent way, and perhaps in a more eternal way with the World card here, because it's like putting that old cycle to rest, maybe bringing some truths about what we know or don't know or should know about even the cycles of old, i.e. the times of Jesus, and what that expression of power really and truly was and was not, and how it was distorted or was not, and, you know, in the presence of it truly as it is to exist in an actual practical way. That is the expression of power that's really being inhabited now in the world, again, in ways that I can't even really truly put into words, because it's more to be experienced than it is to be explained. It's just a matter of us being in alignment with that experience so that we don't resist it, that we're fully open and willing and available for the highest and most expansive expression of that force that our energetic bodies can handle, which is much, because we exist beyond this physical realm. So remember that as I'm saying that, but really it's about our minds being open to what our energetic bodies are willing to handle and then ultimately to express. So I want to leave that there, because that was a doozy for me. I ain't gonna lie. I don't even know if I'm gonna post it, but I probably will, because I feel like I kind of have to. So it's probably over an hour. I haven't looked at the time, so receive it as you will. For those that hung in here with me to the bitter end, I greatly appreciate you. I told you, when I pull out these sight word cards, something strange happens. But there's a bird chirping outside my window that's kind of giving me some confirmation right now, and I receive it, birdie. Thank you. I appreciate you. For now, I'm going to leave it there. Just keep your heart, your mind, your ears, your eyes open to the truth, the unadulterated, pure, divine truth and clarity that you will know as you engage it from within you. Your body tells you by its and now it's starting to rain like real hard. Wow. Your body responds to the truth in very definitive ways. You know it when you hear it. You also know when you're experiencing something that's the opposite of that. So open your senses to really experience and express the truth in its purest form, and be a conduit of that most consciously, creatively, and intentionally. And there's nothing to fear. None to fear whatsoever. And certainly not to resist within yourself. You know, this is happening for us, not to us, definitely not against us, as a lot of propaganda would like for us to believe. You know, even with the spirit of the book of Revelations, a lot of times that's used as a tool to incite fear, when revelation is simply to reveal. You know, it's about the reveal of the divine, and that is exactly the revelation that's taking place now, is of the truth that our eyes have been averted from for a very long time, and that expression of such from our inside out. All right, so receive it as you will. Until next time, peace.